everyone, and welcome to a new video tutorial which will be dedicated to the Tonic craft kit number 15. The tutorial that will feature the products from the kit will follow this overview, and I would like to show you what is the end result of the tutorial. We will make this little mini album. It's a quotes mini album, and I will show you what I mean in a second. Let's have a look at the cover. By the way, the album measures 6 inches by 4.5, and the spine is about 2 inches wide. It is made out of medium weight chipboard, covered with the craft cardstock. The album has 5 pocket-style pages. On the cover, as you can see, I have a little shaker frame, and inside the frame a sentiment is stamped using the stamp from the craft kit. On the spine, I've used several die cuts that were created with one of the dies from the kit, and I've used the rose gold foiled sheet which was supplied in the kit. This little sentiment here, which says "True friendship lasts forever," was also part of the stamp set which was included in the kit. And inside the shaker you can see that I have little seed beads, but besides them I've also used the chestnut brown glitter flakes, and this is how they look like in the pot. The papers that you see on the cover were also part of the kit, and this glittery frame was created using double-sided adhesive and the chestnut brown glitter which came in the kit. I told you that it's a quotes album, and this is how it looks like inside. The pages are once again a pocket style, which means that each one of them has a little tag or photo mat which goes inside the page. To embellish the page, I've also used the glitter and the double-sided adhesive, as well as on the tags which are inside the pages. I've printed out several quotes which are related to friends and family, and this is what I have on the pages of this little mini album. And on the inside front and back covers I have a horizontal pocket which was made out of this textured cardstock which also came in the kit. The little dividers were made using the tab die from the kit. The stickers here are by Tim Holtz. The same design of the pocket is on the inside back cover, and the pages look all the same. They have that glittery stripe at the bottom, brown background, and the card with the quote itself embellished with that rose gold foiled die cut corner. The quotes were found online, and I think that if you want to create the same kind of album, it will not be a problem for you either to find them on the internet. So this is the album. I hope you like it, and I hope you will enjoy making one for yourself. I decided not to explain about every product what exactly it is, as you can follow the link that will be posted in the description box down below and will lead you to the official Tonic YouTube channel. where you will be able to see the process of unboxing this kit and get some more explanations about each one of the products that you can right now see here on my table. Okay, so let's get to it. For the cover of the current mini album, we'll need 3 pieces of chipboard. This is a medium weight chipboard, which is about 1/16 of an inch in thickness. So 2 of the pieces will measure 4.5 by 6 inches, and the central piece for the spine will be 4.5 by 1 3/4. Then you see here a long piece of cardstock that consists of 2 pieces, and one of them is 11 inches by 5.5. The second one is 4 3/8 by 5.5 as well. I used the 8.5 by 11 inches long cardstock. If you have 12 by 12 inches cardstock, you can use that too. Just mind that overall length of this piece should be 15 by 5.5. Okay, so in whichever way is convenient for you to create this piece, these are the overall measurements. And if you already mentioned, I have here 2 guidelines on the left hand side and at the bottom of the cardstock piece, and I've just used half an inch guide that I have and drew those guidelines. You can use the template, you can use your ruler to do that. You need to make the guidelines, as they will make the process of aligning everything easy. Now let's layer the covers on the cardstock, and I have already applied some double-sided tape along the 4 edges, and in the middle area I will use the wet glue. Now I'm using 2 of those guidelines, and I start to align the chipboard piece from the bottom left corner and glue it down along the guidelines that I have. Now let's burnish nicely and even flip the whole piece to burnish on the front. Then you can either eyeball or use some kind of template, because the next piece, which is the spine, should be about 1/8 of an inch away from the previous chipboard piece, which was our front cover. So I have here another template, which is 1/8 of an inch in thickness. So I'm just putting it close to the previous chipboard piece, and I'm aligning the spine along the guideline at the bottom, and I'm positioning it really close to the template that I have on the left side. In the same way, you align and glue down the last piece. Now we need to miter the corners of the cover, and I'm using once again the corner mitering tool. And what I'm doing is just mitering that corner at the 45 degrees angle, leaving about 1/8 or maybe a little less of an inch from the corner of the chipboard, because when I fold everything and wrap the cover, I want these flaps to cover and protect the chipboard itself, so that it will not be seen and will not ruin the whole look of the cover. So to do that, I will apply double-sided adhesive along the 4 edges of the cover, burnish, and then wrap it all up by training the paper first to fold the way I want it to fold. And pay attention that I begin from the long sides, working my way from the middle section to the left hand and right hand edges, burnishing everything using my bone folder, even on the outside edge. Then doing the same from the other side. Now here I'm kind of pressing in the corners and squishing that cardstock, and then folding the flap, gluing it down. And there you go. You can see that our corners look perfect and they're covered and no chipboard is exposed. I will do the same here. Now I can gently find the fold lines of the cover like so. This is the base of our album and our cover. Now for the binding, we will need a piece of cardstock which is 7 1/4 by 3 7/8, and you need to score it as follows. On the long side at 1 1/4, 1 5/8, 2 inches, 2 1/4, 2 5/8, 3 inches, 3 1/4, 3 5/8, 4 inches, 4 1/4, 4 5/8, 5 inches, 5 1/4, 5 5/8, and 6 inches. Okay, now the gaps between our pages will be 1/4 of an inch wide, and the gassets that will hold the pages themselves will be 3/8 of an inch in width. And as you can see, I've already applied score tape. This is the so-called front side of the hidden hinge binding, and I've applied the double-sided score tape only to the areas which are 3/8 of an inch in width, and I left uncovered the gaps of 1/4 of an inch. Then on the back side we have another thing going on, and by the way, I'm using here 1/4 of an inch score tape, and I did apply the score tape to the 1/4 of an inch gaps because we need to stick those down to the spine. And I've also applied pieces of score tape to one of the 3/8 of an inch spacings. Okay, and that's because now when I will want to form those gassets for gluing down my album pages, I will need that score tape only on one side of the 3/8 of an inch spacing or area, or what is the correct way to call it. And then it will look like this. So this is the gasset for one of the pages. Then the next one, leaving that 1/4 of an inch gap, I'm folding once again like so, and I have score tape here on 1/2 of that gasset on the back side. So I'm folding it, and I already have 2 gassets for my pages. Then I will form the mountain fold on my next gasset, glue it down, And as you go, this just automatically leaves the gaps in between the pages, which are 1/4 of an inch, and they will have here score tape on the back side of them, and that score tape will allow us to attach everything to the spine of the album and to create our binding. Here is our binding, and as you can see, we have 5 gassets. Correspondingly, we will have 5 pages in our album. This is how it looks like once assembled, and here are the score tape pieces that will help us to attach this whole binding piece to the spine of the album. Now I will only need to add more score tape on the back side of the binding, and I will, once again, I'm using a 1/4 of an inch score tape, so I will apply 2 pieces close to the right side of the central area. I will apply another piece closer to the left side of the binding, and then 2 strips closer to the outer edges of the binding piece, like so. Don't forget to burnish. Okay, so here is our spine. And when you glue it down, it's better to do this. Now, about 1/4 of an inch from the outer gasset, just draw a guideline 1/4 of an inch away from that gasset, then flip the whole piece and do the same on the other side. And this is just something helpful to have for aligning this piece on top of the cover. You can also do something else, as I have here the lighting, which does not allow me to see those folds clearly. They're kind of reflecting, and I'm unable to properly see them. But what we do is this: we will need to have all the gaps, all the gassets for the pages in between 2 of the fold lines of the cover, and we need to pay attention both on the folds at the top and at the bottom of the cover. And we will also have about, well, slightly more than 1/4 of an inch till the top and the bottom of the cover edge. So what I do now is I just remove the backing from all the back sections of the binding. Now I will take my time. I will try to align everything, and then I will press down and burnish. Also here in between the gassets of the pages. Okay, making sure that everything is glued down really nicely. And once I have that done, I will once again gently, we are in no rush, I will press with my bone folder, and I will find once again those fold lines on the spine. The cover is ready, and now let's get to creating the pages. We will need the largest die. This die will help us to create both the pages and the inside pull-out tags for our pages. So for the pages you will need, as there are 5 of them here, and each page will consist of 2 parts. that we will glue down together like that. So you need 10 pieces of cardstock, and I've already die cut everything. My paper pieces were about 5 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/2. I can align 2 of the paper pieces together, and I will apply glue, wet glue, along the very shaped edge of this paper die cut piece, both at the top and at the bottom, and I'm trying to stay close to the curved edge. Now I will align both of them. I don't look at the edges here on the left and right side, but only to the bottom and top edges to make sure that everything is straight here. And now I will let the glue dry a little bit, and I will trim here and here using those kind of gaps as my guides. So let me prepare the remaining 4 pages. Okay, so here we go. Now I will take my trimmer, and basically what I'll do, let me draw here a line so that you can see where exactly I will be cutting. I will be cutting here like that, from one gap to another. Okay. This is what you need to have on one side and also on the other. This is our page, and it will be open in the middle. Okay, it resembles a sleeve. So I will do the same for the remaining 4 pages. Now that all of the pages are ready, we will get to creating the tags that will go inside. And for the tags, once again, we will use the largest die from the kit. I have created 4 tags here already, and this is how they look like. They have that tab that the die has on one side. And to create these, I started with a piece of cardstock, which measured 5 1/2 by 4 7/8. Okay, and then I aligned the die closer to the, well, let's say right hand edge of the paper, like so, and ran it through the die cutting machine. So all of the tags are now the same and look like this. What we'll do next is we will use the craft knife to cut. Let's do the measurements together. I'm measuring 1/8 of an inch from that notch at the top and at the bottom, and then I measure 3/8 from one corner and the other corner at the bottom. I'm using my craft knife in order to cut the line from that mark to the mark at the bottom, and once again here. And then I will use my scissors to trim that strip off. And I will use the corner rounder, the 1/4 of an inch side of it, to round the corners of the tag. and the tag will go inside. So here I have a couple of pages ready. So let me take care of these tags offline. Here we go, the pages are ready with the tags inside, and this is the cover of our album. So the pocket style pages will be glued down on top of each of the gaskets, which is intended for each one of the pages, like so. But first, of course, we will need to embellish the pages. To embellish my cover now, and I've done here a few more things since I filmed the previous part of the tutorial, but it's the things that I will show you now are really easy, so I will just explain what I did and you will be able to replicate the same thing on your own. So here, for example, I applied the chestnut brown glitter that came in the kit, and to do that the glitter is applied only to the inside photo mat, and for doing that I've used the 1/8 of an inch score tape. I applied it in the same area where I wanted my glitter to be, and then I just sprinkled the glitter on top of the sticky part of the score tape and removed the excess using just a plain makeup brush. So I did that on all the 5 photo mats on both sides, and I've also distressed the edges of the base page, of the shaped page. Then as far as the cover of the album is concerned, I did the same thing. I created a frame out of 1/8 of an inch score tape on the back of the cover, and once again applied the glitter. I made another frame on the spine, and then using the rose gold foiled cardstock and the one of the dies from the kit, which is this die here, I created 4 decorative elements and layered them on the spine of the album. Now I have the same frame as on the back of the cover here in the front, and I want to, well, just in case, if some of you is new to scrapbooking and this project is one of your first ones, then I want to demonstrate how to apply that glitter. But I'm sure that this will not be something new to many of you and the most of you. So we took off the backing from the score tape. Now I just sprinkled the glitter on top of that area where I want the glitter to be, and now I'm just brushing off the excess glitter from that strip of score tape. And I like to do it one strip at a time, as it just gives more control on the glitter. And we have our frame on the front of the cover. Now you can just get back all the glitter into the pot. Now let's talk about the die cuts that I have here on my table. Alright, so let's start with the element here. It's the same die, the largest one from the kit that we've used for die cutting the base pages. So I cut it out from the shiny gold textured cardstock, and I cut off the shaped tabs. Then I used the smaller frame die from the kit, the one which has this kind of stitching, and cut out the opening in this element. It's just to save some paper and maybe to use it in some other place in the album, as this area here on the cover will be covered with another paper piece, and it's just something that I always do. I like to use paper wisely, so if the area will not be seen and it doesn't have to be too sturdy, I just cut it out and use it in another place. So this piece here was cut with another die from the kit. This one, the frame that we have with this kind of stitching on it. So I used the cardstock with the embossed hearts, and I cut out another piece of the same frame using just plain white cardstock to make it more to make it sturdier, as this cardstock is a bit thin for me. So you can choose whether to do that or not. Then this piece here is a pearlescent brown cardstock, which was once again cut out with the help of the die from the Tonic craft kit number 15, and it's the frame right here. So I want to first layer two of these frames together. Now I will apply once again glue around the very edge of this frame, as the middle section here doesn't have anything, it's hollow, so there will be anyway nothing to glue it onto. So I will apply glue around the edge of the frame, and then I will glue it down to my shaped base piece like so. I will leave it to dry a little bit, and to the back side of this piece I want to add for the extra thickness and stability another piece of medium weight chipboard, and this is the piece that I'll have. I will just mark right now where I need to trim it down, and I will do that and get back to you. Alright, now I'm ready to glue this chipboard piece down to the layered frames. And now I can glue this whole piece down to the front cover of my book. Okay, I'm trying to center it in between the left and right glitter lines. I have a shaker frame here that I've created using the following cardstock pieces. Let me explain to you and give you the measurements. Okay, first of all, I have here a piece of that white cardstock pearlescent one with the embossed roses, and it's 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. I used a stamp from the kit, the one which says "Time to Treasure," and black archival ink in order to stamp a sentiment. Then I cut 6 pieces of plain craft cardstock to the same size as the white piece, and I glued all 6 of them together and cut out a frame inside, leaving 1/4 of an inch away from each of the 4 edges of the pile of cardstock pieces. Then I have here an acetate piece which has the same measurements as the previous cardstock pieces. Then on top of it, I have a rose gold cardstock piece, which is also 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And to cut an opening in it, I've used the die from Tonic craft kit number 13. This is how it looks like. And then I just assembled the shaker. For the filling of the shaker, I've used the metallic mix of seed beads, which looks like this. And I've also used the chestnut brown flakes, which came in the kit. Okay, so this is the frame that I have right now, and I want to glue it down on the front of the album cover. I also backed it up with a piece of medium chipboard, just to give more dimension to it. So I will apply now, once again, wet glue to the piece of the chipboard, and I will put this shaker frame onto my cover. I will glue down 2 of these corners right here. I have another decorative element that I've created here using the stamp from the kit, the one with the circle and some sentiments inside of it. And I've also used my EK Success punch in order to punch out a heart, using that same pearlescent brown cardstock from the kit. Let's move on to embellishing the inside front and back covers. And for that, we will need a few... Oh, by the way, I've stamped another sentiment from the stamp set from the kit, and I punched it out on white cardstock with the punch, which was 3/4 of an inch wide, and then I backed it up with another circle, which is 7/8 of an inch, using the pearlescent brown cardstock from the same kit. And I want to glue it down here on the spine. On the inside front and back covers, I want to create pockets using that leather textured cardstock from the kit and the gold metallic textured cardstock. And as you can see, I cut out with the help of the dies a few corners here, 2 large and 2 small, and that decorative piece that we've already used on the spine before. So I've already created the pocket for the back inside cover, and I will show you now those same steps for creating the same element for the inside front cover. So the the metal gold textured cardstock should be 5 3/4 by 4 3/8, and the piece of the leather textured cardstock should be 6.5 by 2 3/4, 6.5 by 2 3/4. Well, I hope you can see that. It's not easy to write on that. Okay, so anyway, once you have that piece cut down to the size, by the way, I would suggest that you use the guillotine trimmer for cutting this cardstock if you have one, and if not, just use your craft knife for cutting the paper, as I tried to use my rotary cutter, and as you can see, this is how the edge looks like. So it's not quite easy to work with this paper. Maybe it's good for die cutting, but for cutting it and using the rectangular pieces on the album is much better if you use, once again, the guillotine kind of trimmer. So now when you have that piece, we get back to the point at hand. You put that piece with the nice side up on your scoreboard and score on the short side at 2 3/8, I'm sorry, and then you also score at 3/8 on the left and on the right side of the paper piece. Then we can take the scoreboard away, and on the in the intersection of those lines, although they are barely seen on camera, you miter the corner at the 45 degrees. Okay, then I will try to fold it properly along the score line that I had. And once again, the challenge of this paper is to get it all straight. Okay, so since you have the measurements, you just wrap the pocket piece around the base metal cardstock piece and glue it down on the flaps. Then I'm using the score tape for applying along the perimeter of the whole paper. And in the center, I will use the liquid glue. Okay, so now before it's glued down to the cover, I think it will be easier to apply all the decorative elements to the inside of our cover. So I will do that, and then we are ready to glue this piece down to the cover and continue to the pages. As for the pages, I have been thinking about it, and I just don't think that I will get it filmed as well. So I just want to explain to you once again what I want to do. I think I will use the smaller frame die from the kit in order to cut paper pieces using dark brown cardstock that I have from my stash. It's not from the kit, although if you have a look at the papers that are left from the kit, you will see that it's still a decent amount of them there, as we mostly used craft cardstock for creating this project. But anyway, I think I will cut 10 rectangular pieces with the stitching, and I will glue them down while offsetting them a little bit to the top of the page. And then I will once again use the score tape and the glitter, and I will apply another strip of score tape closer to the bottom of the page, like so, and covering it with glitter once again. So if on the front of the page it will look like this. Let me flip it so that you understand what I'm talking about when I say that I will offset this piece a bit to the top, and on the back of the page it will be just a mirrored reflection of the front, and the glitter will be going from this side to this side, and the paper mat will be in this area. And then I will just print out a few phrases a few quotes about the family and friendship and stuff like that, and I will glue them down to the dark brown photo mats. And that basically completes the project. Once the pages will be ready, I will just attach them to the spine of the album one by one, taking away the paper backing from the score tape on each one of the hinges, once again one at a time, and I will fill my album with the pages and with the quotes about family and friendship. And this way we will complete this fun and easy project. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, as usual, you are welcome to ask them in the comments below and let me know what you think. Thanks, and see you soon. Bye.